What is up, everyone, and welcome to That Game Rules, the worst gaming podcast on the internet, where every week I break down an old retro game and all the pop culture that surrounds it. I'm your host, Scuba Steve. Thanks for listening this week. Today we're talking about Turok Dinosaur Hunter for the N64. Poking his head out from behind GoldenEye's shadow, we get an early entry into 3D first-person shooting on a home console. And let me tell you, this freaking game is tough, for me at least. But before we get there, let's talk show format. I'm recording somewhere else today. We got a brand new studio here at That Game Rules. I'm not being serious at all. I am recording in my mom's basement. 41 years old, I think I am, hanging out in mom's basement, talking about video games. But no, really, my kids, everyone's just too loud at my house, and my mom lives right up the road, so I'm going to try recording over here, but it's really, to me at least, echoey, so I apologize if the audio is off. I will try to remedy that in the future. So if you're new to the show, every week we go back in time and we talk about this game, but we talk about movies, shows, toys, a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to go over the game vitals, the box art, lots of weapons in this one, levels, enemies, some hard bosses, some sweet cheats. Well, we'll check out some comments and reviews, and then finally we'll give this game some awards, slap a ranking on it, and call it a show. Hit me up at thatgamerules@gmail.com and throw me, ratings, likes, follows, whatever. That's all for the self-promotion today. What have I been up to? A lot. School is in session, and the kids are always doing something. This year, both my kids are in robotics, and we're in full swing of that. There was never any of these kind of programs when I was in school as far as these robotics programs my kids are in. But if you got nerdy kids or you're a nerd and you like doing stuff with your kids, check out the first robotics programs. It's really cool. It's like kind of little real life video games, like real like kind of battle bots type stuff, except without the destruction of the robots. But other than that, I've pretty much stopped playing new video games because I'm so busy. All I have in me is enough time to play a retro game and hope I get enough play in on that to be able to come up with an episode a week. So I've been wanting to play Donkey Kong Bonanza and all these other games out. I know Indiana Jones is coming to PlayStation. I wanted to play that, but they're just gonna have to be on hold because I'm just gonna keep cranking out retro episodes because I'm committed now and I'm kind of insane, so I'm just gonna keep it going. Before we time warp, let's talk about some of my gaming memories from Turok. Excuse me. Most recently, I was getting made fun of for playing Turok by my 22-year-old son, who plays all the new fancy first-person shooter games and just didn't think it was as cool as I did, that when you shoot these guys, like the blood, look, there's blood. Do you see it? Like that, look at that. But apparently they have that in modern games nowadays, so we'll have to see down the road here some other kind of fun little tidbits I found while replaying this game. As far as back in the day, I mean, it blew me away back in 97. I remember it early on the 64. I believe I owned it. I didn't care about the fog. It felt like a good fit for the game. That's what kind of gets most talked about now, is like the draw distance on this game and how early 64 games had to kind of make up. I guess all early 3D games kind of had to make up for the lack of distance they could accomplish in games. So they use fog in this case, but it fits for the jungle. I just remember the size of the maps being huge, and I remember just the insane amount of weapons in the game and what the weapons did as far as like they're like nuclear kind of explosions and stuff. And this is coming from, a lot of the games we had originally was just kind of your Doom type of corridor games where you were kind of always tight in these spaces, and just the openness of Turok. I mean, we'll get into all of that, once we get into the game vitals. But before that, we're going to take a time warp and we're going to check out 1997. But before that, we got to get this baby up to 88.
Have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
righty, 1997, 13-year-old me, prime time to be playing video games. We got a kind of a deep cut of a sponsor today. If you recognize this clip, if it tickles your brain a little bit, then we are friends, and you were watching the same stuff I was. Take a listen.
Thanks, Kim.
Hey guys, do you see what I see? Wow! Awesome, Kidfin! I got it! Oh! Hang on, Jaws! The Burger King Kids Club. It's just for fun and just for you.
That's right. We're brought to you today by the Burger King Kids Club. You sign up for that baby back in the day, get you your little free birthday meal, get you your little membership card. Because back then, if you know who the BK Kids Club were, we had Kid Vid, and he was that goggle wearing the cool one. And we had Zoomer, IQ, Jaws, JD, Lingo, Shoots, and Wheels. And if you don't know who the BK Kids Club were, back in the 90s, let me talk about diversity in the 90s, being a 90s kid real quick, because we had a lot of it. The BK Kids Club was like that, Captain Planet, even like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the Magic School Bus. Like, it was always a group of kids, and they would make it diverse as possible. And then, of course, as far as the BK Kids Club went, they included, handicap people as far as the kid in the wheelchair, but then they nicknamed them Wheels. And I can't tell if that's insensitive or just like the sweetest nickname ever. Because if you're a kid and you roll into class literally, and someone's just like, "Yeah, what's up, Wheels?" I'd be feeling pretty cool, but maybe that's me just being a weirdo. If you recognize that clip specifically, that advertisement, it was cut down for TV, but the main 1 minute long one was aired on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle VHSs that you could buy from Burger King. There was 4 of them. Right now, I told you I'm at my mom's, and I know right now in the garage is, I believe, April Fool's Day tape. That's definitely one of them from the BK collection, I believe. And also, weird tidbit, that commercial was the first $1 million commercial ever made, and it was created by Lucasfilm and ILM. And it is like a mix. It's like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit, like cartoon, real life mix of people, and of course like the BK kids. And I think that ended in 1999 or something. But if you're wondering what the BK kids are up to nowadays, there's an episode of American Dad that references them and pretty much confirms that it is these characters in the episode as adults. So that's silly. And before we get into movies, a couple of tidbits from 97. The first Harry Potter book was released. I'm a big Harry Potter nerd. The founding of Netflix in 1997, and DVDs were introduced. And trivia question, does anybody know the first DVD ever released? I'll give you a second. Okay, that was 12 seconds, but that was GoldenEye music, so I had to let it keep going. It was Twister, with, Helen Hunt, the tornado movie. That was the first DVD ever released, so take that. Let's talk movies. 1997, we were just talking Robin Williams. Flubber was out in 97. It wasn't in like a full rotation for me, but I remember it and enjoying it. Another movie, another weird kind of kid show turned into a movie.
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
So, Good Burger came out in 1997, and my kids even like that old one. And I know there's a recent new one, too, that we watched, last year or something. 1997 still, Batman and Robin. Say what you will about Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, and steering away from Tim Burton's first 2 Batman movies, but I love those stupid, campy Movies, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm a fan, and he's in that one. Every single thing's a one-liner. It's great. So they're almost campy. They're like remakes of the like original campy, corny show, but it was just like with neon lights and cooler costumes. Also, Fifth Element, I've mentioned that before. There are arguments out there that the Fifth Element is a perfect movie as far as like story structure, pacing, the plot procession, like the filming, the fact that the protagonist and the antagonist never even share a scene together. There's just a lot to be said about some of the way it was shot, and a lot of other tidbits whenever I break down Fifth Element someday. And shout out to President Debo. If you know, you know. My grandmama gave me that chain. Shout out President Debo. And then, we'll do a little breakdown because we're talking a dinosaur movie. And I like talking dinosaurs. 1997, The Lost World, Jurassic Park.
Dino DNA.
Has a 6.6 on IMDb. Everybody knows Jeff Goldblum, Julianne Moore. Let's give you a couple facts before we move on here. That movie over the original Jurassic Park, which I prefer, is roughly 50% more dino action.
Dino DNA.
The sound effects of the crying baby T-Rex were taken from a camel that they actually separated from their mom and got the camel. That was a camel crying for its mom, the T-Rex voice. Early drafts of the movie had Lex and Tim in it more, including going to the island. Those were the kids from the first one. They're like right at the beginning of the movie. But I would like to see them in the movie longer. And then each T-Rex model weighed roughly 9 tons, causing the crew to build the sets around the T-Rexes as opposed to moving them around. So I like Lost World. I like Jurassic Park 3 too. It's a good mix of practical effects and CG, but I definitely prefer the original Jurassic Park. That's where I keep playing that clip from. That's the OG.
Dino DNA.
I mean, who doesn't remember that little guy? If you want to know the best line from The Lost World, it's this one.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, that's how it always starts. But then later there's running and screaming.
So we'll keep it moving here. TV shows, 1997. We had South Park. You've heard me talk about that before. We got King of the Hill. Shout out to their recent revival on Hulu right now. Pokemon, 20 plus seasons. And if you want to know, something a little kind of a personal regret of mine, I'm just not huge into Pokemon. I just kind of missed it when I was a kid. It didn't click. RPGs didn't really click with me until like Mario RPG, as far as anything with turn-based fighting. It didn't appeal to me when I was a kid, but I just never happened to get it for Game Boy, so maybe that was the issue. Also, we got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the live action, the Next Mutation TV show, as terrible as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 movie, so don't watch that one. Shout out to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm just throwing that out there. I watched it. I remember watching that, and like even my sister, it was on back then. I think we even watched it like weekly at one point to watch like the plot and all these things. But just shouting that out because now my wife's suddenly burning through some old Buffy, because she usually just has Supernatural on rotation, but steering away from that, I suppose. Also MTV, we had Daria, the Beavis and Butthead spinoff, which also is King of the Hill, not a Beavis and Butthead spinoff, because didn't he start as their neighbor? I remember like the Hank Hill type character, and I know it's all Mike Judge as far as making all those shows, so didn't fact check that. A couple of toys, checking out the Toys R Us catalog, we had Pound Puppies. I remember those coming in like the little box, almost like you were adopting them. And then we had the Tiger R-Zone headset, because I'm a fan of Tiger Electronics. It had this, you put it on your head, and it had like the fold down red screen thing over like one eye, and it's like a portable, smaller, worse version of the Virtual Boy from Nintendo, if you want to go play that somewhere. Shout out to Connects. I had the big roller coaster set. So just good job for Connects, because they're still around, for just kind of making something to compete with Lego and still kind of being around for years. And then speaking of Virtual Boy, in 1997, the advertisement there, he was our little Virtual Boy. He is not doing so well, because they had that baby marked down from $169.99 down to $29. So we all know the Virtual Boy was not doing so well. Video games of that year as well. GoldenEye, of course. The multiplayer, great. The story mode was fun, just even on one player. That's, down the road after Turok. Final Fantasy VII, enough said there. Star Fox 64. Diddy Kong Racing, that is my favorite over Mario Kart. I mean, I guess more Mario Kart 64 memories, but it's got a good first player, Diddy Kong Racing. And I remember getting that Christmas morning as well. And then we had, the other kind of first-person shooters were still kind of coming out for the 64. Doom 64, Quake 64. I played Duke Nukem on the computer. Was there a Duke Nukem 64?
It's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum. And I'm all out of gum.
I don't remember. But also that year, MK Mythologies Sub-Zero. That is a weird game where they went like side-scrolling platforming. Same graphics for Mortal Kombat, your Sub-Zero. And then you would stop to do... When you fight people, it would almost be like a Mortal Kombat fight as far as the moves and stuff you were doing were the same. So that was a weird one. But it is available on the new collection coming out. That's what I was thinking of. There's tons of sweet games coming out on the new Mortal Kombat collection, and it seems like they just keep like adding games to it. So take a look at that. Other than that, we're going to take a look at this Turok box art. We're going to take a look at this Turok manual, and we're going to take a look at some other sweet stuff. Let's do it.
Now, I know you love video games, and I asked the clerk which is the one every boy wants. You got me! Oh, yeah!
So let's take a look at Turok. I mean, come on. It's a guy fighting a dinosaur with a knife, a big raptor, like right on the cover. Like, how are we not... We already know we're fighting. It's a dinosaur game. We're taking it. Because, I mean, back then in the 90s, before, growing up with video games, kind of like kids do from birth now, as far as their imagination. Like, when we were young, we were into, like, dinosaurs, trucks. I mean, it was just like trains. Maybe there was a very small little boy pile of things to just be into, but dinosaurs was like definitely one of them. It was like you're into dinosaurs one week, you're into ninjas the next week, and then you're into like garbage trucks on the third week, and then you just keep kind of maybe cycling through that. But anyway, Turok, again, the box art's fine. It looks great. But let's talk about the manual. Let's talk about the history. Right on the front, it's got a big old bonus collector's edition Turok comic inside. So what you're lacking in story as far as playing this game, the manual gives it to you. It gives you like a comic book to even read first and then start playing the game. So I did always feel like there wasn't like a story. I didn't really know what to do. But maybe you don't really need that in this game. It's more kind of about the exploration, like I was saying earlier, versus a game like Doom, like a run and gun. So, history of Turok, based on the Valiant comic series introduced to the American public in 1954. So I didn't know that. I didn't fact check that. Maybe but comics were big in the 50s, so it was way back then. And a little story, or at least the story of Turok. It says, the mantle of Turok is passed down through the generations to the eldest born male of the Fireseed family. He must protect and safeguard the barrier between Earth and the lost land from aliens, bizarre creatures, and bionic dinosaurs. What?
Shut up and take my money.
So, yeah, I'm sold. We're playing this game. I wanted to read, looking through this manual, and we'll talk about some controls and stuff before we get into the actual game. I'm not a big tech guy, but I wanted to shout out some tech facts here from the manual, because this was a revolutionary game. To some people that might know some tech things for comparison. I tried to find things for like modern Call of Duty as far as like polygon counts, but it said like billions versus what is it? Anyway, here's what it says for Turok. A couple of bullet points. It says high performance 3D engine runs at 30 frames per second. And I know like 60 is almost kind of what like people like now. So I mean, that's not the huge The game runs really well, and it's because it limits its distance with fog. It never really lags when there is a lot of things going on. But anyway, keep going. It says 256 levels of transparency and an advanced real-time particle system create the highest level of realism and pyrotechnic intensity ever. Real-time lighting effects for even more realism. Huge 3D levels with over 5 million square feet and over 300,000 polygons. So that 300,000 polygons, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're in like the billions now on games. It says over 10,000 frames of 3D character animation, over 2,000 texture maps create startling diversity and richness. Advanced artificial intelligence allows creatures to see, hear, walk, swim, climb, and fly. So just a couple of, they were selling their game from a tech standpoint, and well earned. It was revolutionary at the time. So it encourages exploration. It has more action, less run and gun. There is a jump button. We're going to be doing some 3D platforming probably for the first time ever. It's got the fog atmosphere and the open space versus kind of the tight corridors. It does get you do get some corridors and stuff later in the game, but it plays well because it involves things like puzzle solving. It's got a huge weapon variety we hadn't seen before. The 3D platforming for better or worse, usually worse. Puzzles, really like Indiana Jones style, like puzzle rooms, puzzles to open doors. Even cool things like you hitting a switch that turns off water, that drains a room so you can get into. So it has all those kind of cool things. When we're talking controls, we are talking about the N64 controller, and you haters can say what you will. I love that thing. I never played it pretty much with hands spread on both sides, like with the D-pad. There were no D-pad games, except I think the WWF games. Where I think it was just the joystick was just your special when you got your meter up. I feel like that was a game I played. But other than that, I was just kind of holding it sideways like it was meant, and I never really had an issue with it. So, I mean, we played what we played. As far as control-wise, we're talking, the big issue with this is the single joystick. We're all used to double joysticks now for a first person. So in this one, you are moving with these C buttons and you can change these kind of things around. And it's tough to get back to. If someone's never done it, they probably couldn't. They would just hate it and almost refuse to do it. But just after a couple minutes, if you played GoldenEye and all those games like we did back in the day, I mean, I was right back into it, just strafing like crazy. And this game's even designed to where if you're strafing diagonally, you move faster. To the point where even in the manual it tells you in a tips section to master that you will jump farther if you master the diagonal jumping. Not something that's fun to do during platforming, but it is there. So other than that, you got that for moving, and then you rotate your buttons with your B and A. But the big selling point and the sweetest thing about the 64 controller back then was that Z trigger button, because we never had that ever on any controllers. When you're playing, and of course shooting games are always popular since video games were around, and to finally have this kind of firing a gun mechanism built into the controller, and you add, the eventual like rumble pack and things onto that. I mean, this is where it started. I'm not a big first person shooter at all, even to this day, but I appreciate that. And then the other thing, again, is the R button is a jump. So that was kind of a new thing too, as far as first person capabilities, because a lot of those old first persons were kind of fake 3D, with sprites and all those kind of things. So as far as like platforming and jumping to different areas, you just never really did that. So that's the controller. And a couple of other options that are pretty cool is that this game has like a tutorial. It has a training mode option, which gives you a tutorial level, an eventual time challenge if you want to. So finally, this is where it starts. We're starting to get tutorials in games. You can run around, practice your weapons. You probably, if you're a first timer, you're going to want to probably do some tutorials. But then one of my favorite options it has, because this game has blood, finally, and right on the cover too is a rated M for mature, mature Nintendo game. So it does start out with red blood on. It's not like you need to put a password in. But not only can you go into the options and turn blood off, which is like, okay, whatever, but you can change the blood to green. So you can have red blood, green blood, or no blood. And me thinking how that like cool that is must just age me like crazy, because the same thing my kid would probably make fun of me when I'm like, but look, you can make the blood green. And I'm just the old man playing it, and the kids just laugh at me and let me play my games though. It's got skill level as an option, so you can pick easy, normal, hard, and I tend to stick with normal on any game I can play, just to kind of play it how the developers designed it before I try any sort of easy or hard modes or anything. This game has map outlines you can toggle on and off that puts like an overhead map on, which can help, but then can also be quite distracting. But maybe I'll mention that again later. And then this game has sweet, juicy codes, some of the best codes.
It's a secret.
Shut up.
It wasn't a secret because everybody knew these freaking codes, and they're kind of funny and cute. So I'll go over those later as well. And I definitely turned some codes on to get through some of this game and see some of it, because I'm also bad at video games. As far as the screen itself, it's open. You can see a lot. It's got your lives, your typical stuff, your lives, in this case your life force triangles, and they kind of same thing like coins, collect I think 100 to get a free life. Your weapons inventory comes up as you cycle through and will fade away, and then other than that you've got your health, and you've got your ammo, your ammunition. And your health you can get up to certain points. Your ammo will vary. Some weapons have 2 different kinds of ammo and things like that that we'll get into as well. Sound and music wise, you heard me play a track. It's nothing that's probably on any of your playlists, nothing probably even super recognizable, but in game all the music's great. It's real atmospheric. There are some pretty cool boss themes, boss music, but some of the sound effects are just sweet. The whole game you're playing, I swear there's just like random cheetah calls every time to make it, that nowadays you would think an enemy's attacking you, but this is just like part of the music. There's just cheetahs as far as and there's no cheetahs you're fighting in the game either. But then even there's other levels when you're in like, I think the catacombs, where it's just like guys screaming, like a tortured dungeon kind of ambiance to it. So they work well. Of course you've got dinosaur sounds.
Dino DNA.
The gun sounds all sounded great. They're dramatic. The explosions, like the delayed explosions, the guys screaming when they're shot, all sound really good. So all the sound works, the music works good. And other than that, I'm going to play some more sound, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of levels, and I'm going to ramble about a whole bunch of dinosaurs. That one's pretty sweet. I like that like techno beat at the beginning. That is for that Thunder, the T-Rex boss, the guy I was having fever dreams about last week. Big T-Rex with big frickin' laser beams. I should have got that sound clip. I should have got the sharks with laser beam sound clips. I'll just keep playing.
Dino DNA.
We'll just keep talking about dinosaurs. So let's get into the game. A little story. We're talking about Turok. I believe his name is Tall Set. And then we've got the bad guy, the campaigner, the evil overlord who seeks the Chrono Scepter, a powerful artifact broken into pieces. He's a bad guy. He wants to take over the world. Story-wise, Turok is a Native American warrior battling dinosaurs and other creatures in a prehistoric world called the Lost Land. And that's pretty much what you get for the story. There's the campaigner's almost like, as far as the comics go, he's like, he looks, based on reading the comic and the manual, he looks like he's a Joker type of nemesis to Turok. So if you were a fan of Turok and then you like finally got this game, it'd probably be pretty cool to see the campaigner. Me not knowing any lore about it, just thought, he's almost like a Khan character. I mean, he's like humanoid and just like a mean guy. Like I said, I remember that T-Rex boss fight for sure. And For as far as a quick rundown on, a couple of things about the game before we go level by level. Do as much as you can early on to stock up your life and ammo. They give you a lot at the beginning of the game. A lot of options to bank your health, to find some tech armor, to get some ammo. So do those things early in the level because it gets a lot tougher later on to find those things. You're going to want to be saving your heavy hitting ammo for the dinosaurs. You're going to be wanting to take things out with your knife and your bow and arrow when possible. Save up your ammunition. So the game, we're going to collect keys in 7 levels to access the 8th level. Along the way, there are about 30 secret areas and 8 pieces of the Chronoscepter, which are tough to find. There's no real direction for any of this stuff. It is exploring, and it can be tough to tell where you are with the fog. Sometimes you're just running along walls, almost like a maze. Like, have you ever done like a mirror maze? Sometimes that game feels a little bit like that. So there's a piece of the Chronoscepter in each level. And then other than that, you're collecting keys in a kind of like hub level that will give you access to the rest of the worlds. There are things to pick up in the game, of course. There's backpacks, so find those, and you can hold more ammo. There are, I believe it goes to double, so you can, or maybe eventually you can get to double. But anyway, look for backpacks. There's not a lot of those. You're going to be picking up ammo and weapons along the way. You're either going to kill enemies and take the weapons from them, or there will be weapons and ammo. And again, save up your good stuff for the bosses and the dinos. And if you do find so some of the weapons have better ammunition, like Tek Arrows or like explosive arrow tips for your bow and arrow, it will automatically equip those first. So there's no way to change that. So if you pick up a bunch of Tek Arrows, you're going to want to kind of hang on to those for at least some range parts, like some dinosaurs coming at you. Some of the main kind of humans and stuff you can kind of knife out. But dinosaurs got big teeth, so you need to take them out from range. Turok starts with 100 health. It'll be right in the corner there, but you can get up to 250. There are the health is for colored crosses, little plus signs you'll see, and everything kind of rotates in its beautiful 3D polygon glory. And I'll tell you what each one of those does later. There's also there's invincibility tokens, and there's also mortal wounds, which are those things you can get early. So if you kill an enemy with just the knife or arrows, you have a chance that this special mortal wound little pickup might spawn, and grab that because that'll raise your hit point by 5 each time. And then tech armor, works like GoldenEye. You'll get armor. It'll give you a different armor statistic, and that'll wear down first before it then starts taking away your health again. And then the triangles, they kind of act like coins. So you get 100 of those for a free life, and orange equals 1 kind of point, and then purple equals 20. And you can get those early on too. There's a lot more in the first levels, trails of triangles. So pick all those up, start banking those lives if you're going to try and do this game without any cheats. Randomly throughout the levels will spawn blue portals, and these will take you to treasure rooms. I think there's two different treasure rooms, and those are just kind of exploring. You'll get life, triangles, ammo, health. They're optional. They're 3D platforming, so they can kind of suck. But sometimes I was getting stuck in those just because I was getting mad, and I like sometimes, like I said, I like a challenge. Sometimes I'm just stuck in a bonus room for an hour, just trying to make the platforming. And then you'll get your regular kind of warp portals, these square kind of warp things that will take you to random places and levels. If you're already having a hard time keeping track of where you were, and then now you're taking portals to places you don't even know. There's checkpoints, save points, and then of course keys. So keep an eye out for those, definitely the keys. And they're all available to find in this big, big open world. And so let's get exploring. Let's talk level 1. The hub drops you right into it, gives us our first weapon, the knife, down and dirty for those times when the heavy artillery is low on ammo. If you kill enemies with the knife, again, you'll start collecting those extra tokens. They'll raise your base health, so start out with those. And level 1's kind of like a tutorial world in itself. It's called the hub because it is the hub world. So you fight through level 1 to get to the hub, which is a big kind of circle with a bunch of like stone gates around it. And as you collect the keys, you'll see kind of on the floor, it'll light up. So you need to collect 3 keys. And it'll tell you like you collected 1 key for level 2. There's 2 more keys on this level to collect, like every time you get a key. And again, no direction for these, no arrows to follow, nowhere on your map to ping and go to. You're just exploring, looking for keys, keeping track of where you were, and fighting bad guys and dinosaurs. So again, what could be worse than that?
Dino DNA.
And again, so I am bad at this game. I'm bad at first-person shooters. I'm bad at video games in general. I just like them. So I had to look a lot up on this as far as what some of these things, what some of the enemies are and things. But the manual has it all. Or I mean, I guess, you know, if it's not telling you anything, I'm like, what is this big, ugly thing I'm fighting? So I'm going to refer to the manual on a lot of stuff to try to describe things to you guys on my audio medium podcast talking about visual video games. So we got a suite right into it, the jungle. The ambience is great. And you're in this 3D environment. And when you're dropped into these things, just like, GoldenEye down the road and stuff, like the camera pans in, zooms in through the face, and it's this first person. And if you're young and it doesn't sound that intense to you, it was crazy for us back then. I remember even when Mario 64 came out, one of the cool things I like to do was just go into first person mode. You couldn't move when you zoomed in his camera, but it was just neat to have that. Suddenly I'm turning the head and looking where I want in this 3D world. And it was mind blowing back in 97. So it's got the fog, which again has the good kind of excuse of being in the jungle. The PC remaster, I think from not a few years ago, but a while ago, I think now, but they take a lot of that away, and it seems like a different game. It makes it a lot easier, I think, I would say, by seeing farther into the distance. I didn't play the remaster, but I'd kind of like to, because I think it makes the game also just look better. Like you realize how big the game is when you play the OG Turok. Just because of how far around you have to move and search for things. You just know it's huge, but by actually seeing it, like with some of the fog away, I thought it was really cool, because there's also something to be said about seeing something way in the distance and wanting to get to it. It's kind of like what Breath of the Wild is in games nowadays, at least open world games. So you got your blood, which is sweet. My favorite is when you shoot a guy in the neck and it like squirts like 30 feet in the air obnoxiously. I think GoldenEye even has the same kind of animation. That's why I keep wanting to think that Turok are rare games, but they're Acclaim. And the guy like grabs his neck and everything, and again, sounds dumb now, but it was sweet back then. So you're going to find all your kind of sweet, kind of normal bosses, humanoids. You're going to definitely start out with some raptors, and they vary in color and things throughout the game, as well as the humanoids in what they're wearing. They're either kind of soldiers and they kind of start out kind of cavemen like, and then kind of get more advanced as the game goes. So make it to the hub and then open it up from there. You'll find the bow and arrow as well. That'll be your first range weapon. It's called the Tek bow, a sophisticated bow with added strength. This is the first step in distance fighting. And then for that, you can pick up standard arrows, or like I mentioned, the exploding Tek arrows. You'll also find the pistol in this level and the shotgun. Not much to explain there. You're going to use your basic ammo clips you find. And then the shotgun is just kind of always fun in games, especially on dinosaurs, because it's got kind of, you can get that's another one that will get you can find explosive shells. So we'll do the same thing, where if you find those shells, it's going to equip those first. And then so as far as the keys in the hub world, it's going to give you all 3 keys for level 2. It will give you all 3 keys for level 3. And then from there, things just kind of get weird. Like level 4 will have, or like level 2, maybe it'll have 1 key for level 4, and then the other 2 keys for level 4 and level 3, and then level 3 will have 1 for level 5, and then the rest. So it kind of just goes from there. But when you do pick up a key, it will say how many keys are left in that level. So I mean, but other than that, that's about all you get there. Some of the other enemies you're going to come across, the poachers, those are going to be your kind of easy guys. They're just like dressed in fur, and things like your basic humanoids. Then you'll start running into the foot soldiers, and they got like the camo gear, and now they're getting various actual weapons like knives and pistols and shotguns. And then you got, besides dinosaurs, because we're in Dino Land, we got giant bugs, you got giant beetles flying at you. Those are the ones you're not going to want to waste any ammo of any kind on. You want to knife those guys because they're erratic. You're just going to waste ammo. And then, yes, we've got the raptors. Use your ranged weapons or feel the power of their teeth and claws. Moving on, so make it to level 2. And again, I'll just kind of breeze through these because I'm not sure how long this episode will be, just talking about a first-person shooter. But the game gets better. My opinion of it changed at about level 4. So let's keep going. Level 2 is called the jungle, and it looks more of like a jungle, except it's bigger. So keep collecting that health and energy. I mentioned the health before, so it's your little crosses. And if you pick those up, there's 4 different colors. Your silver will give you +2 health. Your blue will give you +25 health, right? Or add 25% health to your existing health. But the big ones are the orange and the yellow. The orange will fill your health to 100. It will just give you full health. And the yellow will add 100 to your health. So it adds 100 like to your meter itself. So those are just, if you feel like you're in a secret area, you're getting somewhere weird, you're probably going to find a key. You're probably going to find some ultra health or some tech armor or some of the sweet things like that. You also can get the assault rifle in level 2, which we all know the assault rifle by now. These are all kind of holding the same kind of ammo, I believe. Eventually, your guns, they do different things, different kind of ammunition on some alien weapons later on. And then some of the new enemies, you've got like the leapers, which are almost like Resident Evil-like. They kind of crawl on the ground and then jump. They almost kind of big, kind of lizard kind of looking things, crawling around on ceilings and stuff. Now you start to run into some of the tougher humans. They're the campaigner soldiers, like campaigners, henchmen and stuff. Tougher guns and stuff. And then again, you start to get other keys for other levels like 4 and 5. Keep moving on. Level 3, the ancient city. We're still in the jungle, but now we're getting lots of buildings, lots of temples, lots of up and downs. That's where this game also varies from other first-person shooters. Is a lot of vertical stuff, like a lot of up and down. You think these worlds are big just in a spatial plane that you're on, but you're wrong. Especially I was wrong when I started to try to find things in level 6 I'll get to, as far as how much up and down there is to this game as well. So you're in the ancient city now. It's you start to get into these smaller corridor and buildings things, so you have to kind of slow down, move a little slower when you're getting into those. I didn't mention it, but the D-pad, you can toggle a run or like a walk. It's not really a walk. You can toggle between like a run and like a faster run. So sometimes when I was inside of things, I would slow myself down a little bit, because again, your strafing is really fast. You're strafing a lot in this game. You'll run into some new enemies here, some ancient warriors. So they're tacked up with other things. I think they even have range now. So you're running into things that can like shoot fire at you, different kind of magic spells. And then you'll run into the purlins. Those were the ones that I'm like, what are those called? And they're called purlins, and they're like the big gorilla-shaped aliens. They bust through walls. It's really sweet. There's tons of them. They're kind of slow-moving. This game really consists of kiting enemies, and that is just kind of running backwards while shooting and straight kind of in a circle. As far as that term, any non-gamers, kiting's a big thing you do with enemies, I think, and I was doing it in Warcraft a lot. It's where you're dragging enemies around so they don't hit you, but you can still fire things at them. And that's what a lot of this game was, for me at least. And then a sweet weapon you can pick up in level 3 is the plasma rifle. So now we're getting into the sweet ones. That one, I believe, takes a different kind of ammunition. It takes like energy cells. So that one's called the pulse rifle. I had it down as the plasma rifle. That's kind of what it shoots out, little like plasma balls. So it shoots little plasma. It's almost like like an assault rifle, but with little plasma balls. So that one's pretty sweet and futuristic, and just a good overall game because you can kind of rapid fire that. So we'll keep focusing on weapons and bosses as we go here. Level 4 is the ruins, and it's pretty much like levels 1 through 3. And this is where the game started to like drag for me. I appreciate everything. I liked it, for sure when I was a kid and stuff. But as far as just kind of making through a retro game, I'm like, I'm having fun, but it's just jungle and big jungle and big jungle. But man, does that change with level 5. The game really picks up after level 4. Things really start to get sweet with aliens and levels and things. But anyway, level 4, it's the ruins. We're still going to run into some new cool enemies like a giant dragonflies. So I liked that. Jungle dino world.
Dino DNA.
With giant plants, giant bugs, giant dinosaurs. And so we've got the Dimetrodon. I'm not pronouncing that right, probably. That's the dinosaur with like the big spiky fin thing on like the back of it. So you run into those. And then we also have warrior priests now. And those guys are ranged. They're shooting spells and things at you. But with new tougher enemies come new sweet weapons. Because now we can find ourselves the freaking minigun. So don't let that name fool you. This is one of the most powerful weapons you will find. It burns through ammos though, so you'll need to reload by the box full. If you don't know what a minigun is, it's pretty typical in a lot of first-person shooters. I just picture Arnold Schwarzenegger holding it and firing it off in whatever movies, multiple movies he's doing that in. But then we also get the grenade launcher, another sweet one, another thing that's in a lot of games. I mean, that's pretty much where we're going to be on our weapons you'll recognize type of thing before we get into some sweet newer weapons. And the grenade launcher, like in most games, will hurt you as well. So those things bounce off the wall and tend to just boomerang right back to my feet when I'm playing. Be careful with the grenade launcher. As far as being in corridors and stuff. Not so bad out in the jungle, though. Moving on to level 5, a sweet level. I really enjoyed it. It's called the Catacombs, and it's just like a huge underground cavern. It kind of mixes up your corridor and your big kind of open space, but it looks like the aesthetic's really cool. It's really dark and dungeony, but it's like the puzzles that are sweet. It's got like a Castlevania aesthetic. It's the one that's got like the random screaming guys as far as the music, so you got that going for you. But all the puzzles are like Indiana Jones, like you're opening doors, like weird slides, like turn off the fire to get through here. The enemies are like tribal, like they're blowing darts at you and those kind of things. Real Indiana Jones up as Jonesy like as well. There is a tough platforming part. You're doing like a giant puzzle room, and then you have to activate all these switches that will raise, a pillar of stone, essentially about the width of your body, and you have to jump across, I think 8 of those up super high. So you miss that 7th one, you fall, you got to start over again. So that's the fun of 3D platforming. Sometimes the map helps when you turn on for platforming because it will show the kind of small circles you're going to be jumping on, but you have to kind of master your map as far as your little arrow guy jumping. And sometimes it just doesn't have those when you have the map on. So platforming can be pretty meh, but level 5's got your sweet first giant boss. It's a huge mantis. Again, you're going to be kiting him, just like I was mentioned earlier. He's shooting all sorts of stuff. He's jumping off the ceiling. Like he starts out huge, and it was just like that blew me away. I remember him just like the dinosaur from back then. Just kind of like that first like Ocarina of Time boss too, where it's just like something epic about those fights, and having never seen that kind of stuff in a video game. But while we're talking tough bosses, let's talk sweet weapons. You get the particle accelerator, and that thing is sweet. It's got just like neon lights around it. You have to charge it up so the thing starts like spinning like crazy. And it describes it as fires high energy particle blasts. This one can break down the atomic structure of the enemy, first causing cessation of movement at the molecular level, and then, never mind, try it and see. So it like disintegrates enemies. So shout out to the particle accelerator. We're at level 6. This game's starting to freaking grow on me now. This level's called Treetop Village. We're talking dinosaurs while getting shot at in an Ewok village. A couple of enemies here is the bio-enhanced Dimetrodon. So now they've got freaking guns and crap and lasers on them. Now you'll start to see enemies with bionic attachments on them. And now we start to see the alien infantry. These guys with like 4 arms, firing lasers and stuff at you. This is the one level that was like, I walked around forever or just on cliffs. Like I cannot figure out where to go, but it's like you have to look down. So you have to like work your way down and down and down like these cliffs that you wouldn't think is like part of the level. I'm like, is this just a secret? But that is like the way to it. Then eventually you make it to a portal and you're back up in like this big but it's like there's houses and huge like buildings in this kind of treetop village. So, I mean, that's another one that just kind of blew you away with how big it was. And now we got some sweet weapons as well, because now we get the quad rocket launcher. So that will fire 4 rockets at once. The description in the manual, it says quad rocket launcher. Need we say more? I mean, need I say more? It does the little sweet little spiral projectiles. So that's probably where they were describing in the manual as far as graphically, like the particles and stuff of the game and the explosions. That was probably all new kind of stuff they were doing with like smoke trails, all stuff very common nowadays, but groundbreaking back then. And then we also get the freaking alien weapon. It's just shoots a sweet green laser, huge explosion after it. This one again will need energy cells to recharge. You kind of charge it up and it shoots out again like a big huge green laser. It almost has that kind of like delayed explosion like the Slave One in episode 2 when it was dropping those bombs in space with that sweet sound effect. So level 6 is awesome. And now we're heading to level 7. We're switching from our kind of corridors here to the big open world again. It's called the Lost Lands, and it's finally kind of something different. There's lava, there's desert areas. It feels kind of like you're trapped, but still kind of looking open world like. And then the weapon in this baby is the fusion cannon. It's got a quick charge with like a big explosion. It says slow but unstoppable. Send a rolling ball of nuclear mayhem their way, but don't get any closer than you need to. It only holds 2 shots, so you need to track down more fusion charges as you go. So save onto those charges if you are trying to actually beat this game as it was intended to fight Thunder in the campaign or later on. While also, if you as we're going through these levels, collecting those keys, hopefully you're finding those Chronoceptor pieces, because that's, your ultimate end game weapon there. But some of the enemies you'll come across in level 7, we got big, huge freaking robot guards. We've got demons. We've got now all the best bio-enhanced dinosaurs, the best enemies in the game. You've got the Triceratops with dual rocket launchers. It's got a guy riding on top of him. We're going to start to get into some cyborg enemies, some killer plants, and some other things in level 8. Again, these kind of huge plants. But did you hear what I said about Triceratops armed with dual rocket launchers? And this is where the game is shining. So we make it through level 7. If you have got all your keys, you've got all your weapons, hopefully you got those Chronoceptor pieces, then we're moving on to level 8, the final confrontation. And this level is just all alien. It's all cyborgs, the commander's elite, the campaigners' elite troops, cyborgs, dinos. Your raptors now have freaking lasers and shotguns attached to them. They're just running at you with like a fist full of laser, ready to give you a sweet punch in the face. More Triceratops. You've got mutant crabs, raptors everywhere, sludge beasts, and then these huge like subterraneans, big kind of sandworms popping out of the ground. So it's all going down now, because you're going to fight pretty much back to back the biggest, best boss there is, Thunder, the laser wielding T-Rex, and then that fight is just like in a big auditorium dome, but then you can kind of run up ramps to avoid him up, so you can have height to the fight as well. You can fight from up high or from down low. And then you make it to the campaigner fight. I think you can 1 or 2 shot the campaigner with the chronoscepter. The chronoscepter, you form that. That's your ultimate weapon. Description for that: if you can get a hold of the pieces of this item before the campaigner does, you can assemble them into an apparatus of ultimate destruction. The chronoscepter is capable of creating micro tears in the fabric of space-time, thus disrupting matter at a focus point. No one is certain what will happen if the campaigner gets his hands on it and amplifies its power exponentially. The chronoscepter would hypothetically work best as a weapon if used on a relatively stationary target. It cannot be recharged. So I don't know if you only get the 1 shot. The only time I get to play with the chronoscepter is when I enter in some sweet codes. But other than that, yeah, the mission, the campaigner wants to use the chronoscepter to, rip open space-time to, so all his Lost World cronies can come take over Earth, or, something like that. Typical bad guy stuff. And again, I didn't beat this game without using cheats. I made it a decent amount far, but then it's fun. They give you fun cheats. I'm going to use them. I'm going to play with them. We're going to go over them because the developers, you can tell we're having fun with these cheats as well. So that, they want you to have fun with this game. Of course, anybody going for just the core of the game, they want to beat it natural. That is noble of you, but at least the developers acknowledge that we should make some ways for everyone to see all the work we put into the game without having to beat it. So before we get into comments and reviews and awards, I mentioned the actual comic book at the end. Check that out. It looks as sweet. It's like 10, 12 pages, maybe more. But that's really cool. There are a couple of hints and tips in the manual as well. Nothing really groundbreaking besides that one with the diagonal jumping. I thought was really cool. And then the other one kind of cool thing is that it says the forest team with life hunting wild boar and deer can yield extra health pickups. So there are just kind of random deer and boar that won't hurt you at all. They're mainly just running away from you because they heard you shooting things. But sometimes you can hunt them and you can get some life from them. So check that out if you can. Other than that, I'm going to throw in these cheats into the comment section and the awards, and we'll just get it going now.
Aren't you a little old for video games?
That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
Let's do all the things that you want to do.
Throw me a frickin' phone here. I'm the boss. Need the info.
I've lived in mortal terror that this would happen.
Get on with the ceremony.
All right, so let's talk some comments and reviews. I'm pulling all the old school Turok. There were some reviews for the newer one. I'm not sure what they changed in that one besides the graphics. I know it's just a remaster, but I don't know if they changed anything else in it. But let's start out here with Vanessa. She says, one of the best early 3D first-person shooter games. The new remaster fixes the fog draw distances. The best Turok game, in my opinion, because of the fast gameplay, alien jungle, and temple settings. The music is cool, all tribal and fitting for extra atmosphere. So that's cool. And it is just like I said, it's different. I mean, we always kind of grew up with the Doom, the Quake, these kind of hellscape first-person shooters. So to just have this jungle setting, this kind of this mix of ancient temples with ancient dinosaurs with futuristic aliens, it was just really original and really cool. So Alpha Stigma says, the game is amazing, or maybe it's just nostalgia, but I remember playing it when I was a kid. Recently, I bought it on Steam and finished it in several days, and it's been a blast. The movement was all right. I liked it. Very dynamic. The weapons were cool. I found myself using that alien pew-pew gun the most. The level design was long, if I can say that. Sometimes it was easy to get lost, and I hated the fact that I had to use a walkthrough. The last boss was a bit underwhelming, though. I managed to finish him with the chronoscepter before he even moved. So I feel you there. I hated the fact that I was using walkthroughs. Not even a walkthrough, because I'm like, what is a walkthrough going to do for me when I can't see where I'm going and what I'm doing anyway? So my walkthrough was just turning on some cheats and weapons and just blowing my way through those levels and just exploding some dinosaurs left and right. We'll keep moving along the comments here. Janus says, the core appeal of Turok 1 is the sense of speed and the reactivity of the combat. Everything is so smooth. The movement is almost like gliding. You move really fast compared to other FPS games of the time, and shooting enemies produces visceral reactions, and the enemies all move very smoothly and die very smoothly. The weapon variety is very high, and the weapons are audio-visually engaging and fun to use. The core appeal of Turok 1 is racing around the levels, blasting things with a shotgun. The game also runs substantially better than its sequels on the N64 hardware. So definitely no issues running this game. I was playing it on the Switch online with my sweet N64 wireless controller they released for those. But I even, I remember everyone else says it too. There's no lag in the game. It moves really smooth, even when there's tons of projectiles and weapons going off and enemies. There's no lag that I noticed at all. And even me, who comes from a guy who likes lag, I like some Max Payne bullet time stuff. Let's keep going. Right the Hand says, maybe not the golden eye of its day, but the variety of weapons plus the atmosphere of levels help smooth out the gameplay. Controls are a little wonky, but not so bad you can't immerse yourself. I'd recommend. And I agree there as well. The controls are, it's rough, but again, and I like that word, immerse yourself, because that's what these games feel like when you're into it. You're immersed in these games. Back in the day, Turok, thankfully, is remembered, is highly, appreciated for what it is, being before GoldenEye. I know GoldenEye gets all the talk for 64, and it's weird because GoldenEye has the most nostalgia, even for me, for playing with all my friends back then. But I believe Perfect Dark is like a better game, or at least a game that doesn't get enough talk. I just love that you can switch weapons, or all your weapons do have double weapons of some kind. They change into something else. That's what I love about Perfect Dark. And I mentioned earlier too, I have more nostalgia for Mario Kart 64, but I like Diddy Kong Racing better. So it's weird. It's like, which one would I play? Would probably be the ones I like playing better. The nostalgia ones, there's like, you can't go back and drag all your friends into a room again and play like you could. It's all just kind of gone as far as that goes. But you can still make some new couch co-op memories with your family. You can still play Nintendo out there. It's all right. You're just not going to get a group of 40-year-olds together to play 64 anymore, I don't think. Although that would be a sweet night. Last comment from Darren. This game never gets old, made in 1997 on the N64, so it is what it is, but the lack of story and HD graphics do not take away from the complexity of a game, made when games were still pretty simple, and not to mention you get to shoot dinosaurs and they tend to shoot back.
Shut up and take my money!
That's right. Where else are you shooting dinosaurs?
Dino DNA.
And they're shooting back at you. So, good comments there. Let's talk about these passwords. I got the whole list. A lot of people know the main one, the big cheat, by heart, because in all these comment sections for Turok, I saw it everywhere. NTH, GTH, DGD, CRT, DTRK. That includes pretty much all your good stuff, your invulnerability, your weapons. What else? Yeah, pretty much you can't die and you have all your weapons. It gives you all your warps too. So you can warp to all the levels, you can warp to all the bosses. Other than that, there's other sweet ones that are just like, why did they take the time to put this code, and how cool are these guys? Before I forget, all these codes are either weird sayings or developers' names, all minus the vowels. So that rattle of letters I just listed off for the big cheat is missing the vowels, but if it had them, it would say, on the 8th day, God created Turok. So if you take all the vowels out, that's your code for the big cheat. Some of the other ones are, what is it? Like Robin Smith, and will give you invulnerability, so that's like a developer name. Other than that, some of the sweet, like fly mode is LKMBRD, which is look, I'm a bird without the vowels. So you can see the developers are having fun. So that's one of them, fly mode. It pretty much not only just lets you fly up and down using L and R, but just breaks. You can go through all the walls. So it pretty much just turns you into the camera of the game. But some of the other sweet ones, your basic, unlimited ammo, all your weapons, those are sweet. But then there's disco mode, which just is like a disco. It's all just suddenly lights are flashing and it's like party mode. There's, of course, the traditional, you gotta have it, the big heads cheat. For some reason, we just want to make all our enemies have huge heads. There's tiny enemies. So suddenly there's a bunch of little tiny baby raptors at your ankles you're fighting. But the sweetest one to me is a cheat called pen and ink mode. And it takes all the color out of the game and it looks sweet. It looks like an indie game like nowadays. It reminds me of, if you get the reference, there's one level in Harry Potter, the new game, Hogwarts Legacy, that does that. So it looks like a stencil. It looks like a pencil drawing, but you're playing it in 3D. All the enemies are penciled. All the animation is still happening. Sometimes it's almost easier to play in pen and ink mode. You can kind of see where things are and what you're doing because, again, the fog's gone. Everything's kind of gone. And again, it looks really cool. There are people I bet you could trick into making a trailer out of that and them thinking it is like a sweet new indie game. There's other cheats beyond that, but we'll get into some awards and we'll get into some ratings. Award number 1 is going to be the BFG FTW award. That's going to go for the best weapon in the game, and we had a lot to choose from. You've got the alien gun. You've got the chronoceptor. The one guy with the comment, he liked to just run around with the shotgun, and that's pretty fun as well. For me, my favorite gun to play with, it had its auto firing. We had reloading on some of these, and whether or not that was an issue. What else am I looking at? Am I charging these up or not? Because that can be fun. That can be a pain. And what about the sounds and explosions of these various items? It's a personal preference. My favorite weapon in the game is the freaking minigun. That thing, you just run and you just mow down like you're mowing the grass. That thing's got that sweet, if you like miniguns in games, it's got that sweet whistle as you're just firing up on these dinosaurs and stuff. So going with the minigun for my favorite. And man, there's a lot. That was kind of a tough one, but that's the one I was smiling the most and having the most fun with that one. So award number 2, this isn't even my final form award. It's going to go to the best enemy or boss design. And again, we got a lot to choose from here. Dinosaurs were super popular in the 90s. But we got the raptors with guns. We got the guys riding the Triceratops with the double freaking rocket launchers. But you probably know it. You probably already know where my favorite enemy or boss design is going to go, and it's going to our big daddy boy, Thunder the T-Rex. You get it, giant dinosaur.
Dino DNA.
And he's got like a cat laser. He's tracking you and chasing you around this big, huge freaking Thunderdome. So huge shout out to Thunder the T-Rex. You know it because I was trying to figure out if I was right, and there was a sweet, huge dinosaur in this game, and I was right. Award number 3, the awesome and always loved Baby Penguin Award. The best thing to do in this game, the best way to play it, that I shouldn't be playing it. And that's me using cheats. It's using that big old big daddy on the 8th day God created Turok himself. It's hard to say. Yeah, if you're a purist and you want to make it through Turok all natural, then you might need more time than I had to try and go through this game in a week and experience it. I already shouted out all those other codes, the disco mode, the big heads, even pen and ink mode. You were creeping towards the top of my list, but just turning on that master code, just grabbing all the weapons you want, not worrying about, turn off your health and just go be frickin' a superhero with a machine gun and a minigun. And it was fun. If that was just the game and it wasn't even a finding keys, it was just an open world sandbox. If they just gave you more dinosaurs, like plants versus zombies, like a defense against dinosaurs, but you just have infinite guns and ammo, it would be just as fun. Just a big open world of shooting dinosaurs. Before I get into the ratings, let me give a couple of shout outs to some things I just really enjoyed about the game. The grenades and explosions, like from the grenade launcher, if you shoot them at the environment, like trees, the trees fall down. Sounds, I know, woo, big freaking deal. But back then, you were probably going to recess, or you're going to your friends. I was middle school then, saying, dude, you know the freaking trees fall down? Did you see that in Turok? I mean, so we were doing that stuff. The enemies bust through the walls, those purlins or whatever, almost like a jump scare. That might have been the first time I'd ever seen that in a game. So shout out there. The neck spraying blood I mentioned, the pen and ink mode I mentioned. But my favorite shout out, almost got an award for best enemy design, is the Triceratops with the double rocket launchers. It's got a guy riding on top. When you destroy those Triceratops, however you do, they fall over and crush the guy. Like, it's all an animation. You hear the guy going like, and then he's just crushed under the Triceratops. So I appreciate those human crushing dinosaur details as well. All right, let's talk ratings. 4 topics, 4 categories here, all ranking out of 10. Gameplay, visuals, music and sound, and awesomeness. Let's talk gameplay. We're talking a legacy. We're talking the first in a series of games. We're talking groundbreaking, award-winning, but we're talking N64 controller. We're talking a lot of fog. We're talking jumping on platform and platforming in a 3D environment. So you got a lot of ups and downs to you. But for gameplay, I'm going to give you a 7 out of 10. Visuals, we got the fog, but again, it kind of plays into the game itself. The enemies all look great. The environment looks good, except those first 4 levels are pretty repetitive. So that kind of stinks to make it through those, to get some variety in the game. But visually, you got some sweet dinosaurs, and those are all looking good. I'm going to give you a 6 out of 10 on visuals. And you can't, I'm not sure any 64 game is going to get high on visuals, because it's all about gameplay. You just take that, you turn your imagination back on in these 64 games. You just kind of take it for what it is, because we wanted to play things in 3D. Music and sound, it's atmospheric. There's nothing you're putting on your playlist. You probably barely recognize any of the tunes I played. It's not pumping, it's not hyping up the level or the show at the beginning as much as I'd like with some Mega Man music or something, but it's got good boss music, and it's more about the sound effects. Again, I like those cheetah sounds they're playing, but I like the sound effects, the weapon sounds, the enemies being damaged sounds, the explosions. So I'll give you a 7 out of 10 there. And awesomeness. Turok, you're revolutionary. People love this game. I had a hard time finding comments to critique it. I originally was like, I know Turok. I remember Turok. I played tons of Turok. I like Turok. Let's play Turok again for the show. And I played Turok, and I'm like, this is what I remember. And this is levels 1 through 4 and stuff. And I'm reading these comments and reviews, and I'm like, the people are like loving this game. I'm like, why am I not? And I've never been a first-person shooter, so I was like, I enjoy it. But then I got, just more levels. Things started growing on me. So I can see where people love it. It was definitely a game we were talking about on recess. So awesomeness-wise, you're getting a 10 out of 10 because you are just the talked about first-person shooter on the 64 before GoldenEye was a thing. So let's add those points up. You're at a 7.5 out of 10. So Turok Dinosaur Hunter. You are a rental, baby. That's okay. Rentals aren't bad. Rental means you should play this game at least once in your life. it's give it a try. The PC remaster looks great without the fog if you want it that way. This isn't a game I'm going to blow the dust off every year or anything. It was fun to play again. I'd like to play Turok 2. I'd like to play Turok 3 as far as finishing out the 64 games there. I never got into the Turok multiplayer. I believe that might be the third game. Maybe that would have been cool. We were playing some weird multiplayers back then besides your GoldenEye and your Mario Kart, your Mario Party. Like I mentioned before, Conker's Bad Fur Day had a weird multiplayer we were playing a lot. But definitely no Turok multiplayer, so I might have missed out on that one. But that's okay. We love our rentals. So give it a go. What are we talking about next week? I mentioned it before. Let's do Micro Machines for the Nintendo. That baby had a shiny gold cart just like Zelda. We're going to talk about the bathtub, the breakfast table, the school desk, the backyard, the beach, all these places we were racing. We're going to collect us some Micro Machines, and let's just go for it. Other than that, we're going to get out of here. Let's wrap it up. Sorry if the sound is off. I'm feeling like I'm echoey, but we'll see if I can remedy that. Thanks again for listening. I appreciate the support of whatever, just listening. Shoot me any messages. Shoot me some comments on the old internets, and hit me up at thatgamerules@gmail.com. I will get out of here. I need a break from the scary dinosaurs. I'm going to go race some cute little cars. All of you guys have a great week, and I will see you on the next one.